The Mahomes Dynasty is upon us. Let's talk about it.
This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
To another edition of the KC Laboratory presented by Emprise Bank, member FDIC. We are live here on a Monday night, less than 24 hours removed from the Chiefs defending their Super Bowl championship. It is, it's been a great day. We're all exhausted, but it's been a great day. Maddie Lane and Craig Stout are here. Matthew, how many hours of sleep did you get last night?
Not many. You can easily count it on and not a fully fingered one single hand, right? That's all. That's very single digits here. So yeah, not great, but it's a fantastic time to be the fan of the world champion Kansas City Chiefs. It's four-time. I mean, I want to say three-time. I know that upset some people in the past. I really want to say three-time, and I want to do it just like how Brett Veach did it in the photos. The cool way to say three, Veach is now hip to that. It's great. I'm happy to be sitting here with my best friends, Tom and Jerry, as we talk about the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl yet again.
Craig's Tom.
Tom, yes. Very clearly Tom. There's no dispute there. I also like that Maddie had to define that he got single-digit amounts of sleep. Maddie, listen, we all have kids. When was the last time you got double-digit hours of sleep?
Not as far back as you would think.
Okay. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
I had a moment a couple weeks ago where I crashed at like 9 o'clock at night and slept until like 8 the next day. So like I think it was shortly after the Shrine maybe or something like that. So it's been more recent than obviously Craig. But yeah, I mean, we had a great time last night. Hung around on the live chat afterwards. I actually left and then came back, and Craig and Maddie were still on. And then Tucker finally had gotten home by then, so like we're all hanging out. I think we got off like what was it, like midnight, 1 o'clock.
It was deep into the ones my time, so it was late.
It had to be or
it was this much of a bottle of bourbon. That's how much I know. So yeah.
It is always just I love that I'm not used to this part. The post Twitter after your team wins the Super Bowl is the best because you're just getting unhinged clips, you're getting all these different views, you're getting all these different stories, and it's just a wave all at the same time. Like there's just so many little things that pop out. Just saw the Isaiah Gathings video, the practice squad tight end for the Chiefs, who has his camera running onto the field celebrating the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. He runs around. He goes to the corner with McCole. Then he like chases Mahomes, and you can hear him yelling, "He's the GOAT! He's the GOAT!" And so he's actually run up, got a picture of Mahomes kind of with his arms over his head, Michael Jordan style, celebrating on the ground on the sidelines. Like, and it's been like every little clip is just so perfect, and like Joshua Williams is just a whole vibe. Like it's so
Drew
great.
I mean, you were talking about a vibe. Drew Tranquil with the goggles, the cigar. Everybody else has got like 5-second videos. He's got like a 35-second video where he does nothing but bob his head with a cigar in his mouth, and it's amazing. It's perfect. It's absolutely everything. So like, yeah, it's great. That's always one of the best parts is like getting through the next day. And like, I don't know about you guys. This Super Bowl win this year hit a little bit harder, maybe better than last year's over the Eagles. And I don't know what it was, but like I didn't want to go like lay down and go to bed after this or even try to start calming down. I wanted to still hang out with you guys a little bit afterwards, talk about the game or just like everything about it a little bit. And then you wake up and like, I haven't seen any of the locker room videos yet. And so I get to spend the first half of my day today seeing like just all the reaction shots and everything. And it was a lot of fun. Everything about this was fun. It really felt like this one, and the players all said it, but like I even think as fans, we all kind of felt it too. Like it meant a little bit more than maybe even last year's. And like, that's not to diminish what happened last year, but I don't know. This one just seemed to hit a little different to me.
It really did. I think maybe the overtime part of it, for me, maybe the confidence going into the game and then it not playing out exactly how I'd kind of thought or hoped it would play out, especially early. And then to come back again, as I said on the post-game show last night, it was a perfect encapsulation of the season right there. The offense could not get going. They had to lean on the defense for a very long time. And then right at the very end, the offense gets going, goes for over 200 yards in the fourth quarter and overtime after only racking up 240 the previous 3 quarters. It was really special to watch. I too am kind of combing through some of the stuff, trying to watch all of the, family members and things like that, players out there with their kids. That's my favorite part.
Mm-hmm.
Getting a little emotional and tearing up. Donovan Smith, his daughter being held up and saying, "Yeah, my daddy always wins." That's awesome. Like, that's incredible that we get more of these moments with this group of guys, because it's not going to be the same next year. It's not going to be the same people back this year, or next year. So to see guys like McCall Hardman, to see guys like Donovan Smith, really Mike Pennell get kind of their flowers, over the course of these playoffs has just been really, really special. And it's fun to watch.
So many. I mean, I'm sure we'll get into the details on some of these guys here soon. I actually tried to write. So Tuesday, KCSN Substack. Make sure you're checking it out. I kind of tried to just talk about how nothing's the same after that one. This one's different for a lot of different reasons. And I think there's always going to be some level of emotion tied to the most recent Super Bowl. Like, I go back and forth if you poll which one was, there's recency bias. I've asked the question before, and there's recency bias to which Super Bowl is your favorite. And I think there's a lot of things playing into it, though. I think the fact that we've all experienced a loss in a Super Bowl. We know what that feels like. We know what it feels like to lose to old Tom Brady in a Super Bowl. So we know the pain and how hard it is to achieve this. So we've been through that. 3 is I'll tease this piece. 3 stuffs the rest of the AFC quarterbacks in a locker. It's over. There's none of the other quarterbacks in the AFC right now are getting a 3, because a couple of them might get 1, but they're not getting 3. And Mahomes and that would require Mahomes to stop winning the rest of his life.
31 starting quarterbacks in the NFL have a combined 3. They're not getting a 3. Yeah.
No. So it's like, even if Mahomes the league makes a rule, the Bills complain, and then the new rule in the NFL is Mahomes has to play left-handed. And he still might win 1. But there's just 3 is I think it's an impossible number for any other quarterback. So it is moved from the pursuit of being the best in his generation to being generational. And just the greatest player of all time and all this stuff. This is the coronation of the race. This is the laps can begin. The race begins now.
Well, yeah, and I guess there's multiple ways to do it, because no matter what, the rest of Mahomes' career is going to be about chasing Tom Brady's numbers. You can't, and no matter what happens the rest of his career, he is a top 3, and he's definitely not 3 quarterback to ever play the game, by no matter essentially however you want to splice it up, right? And so now it's just about chasing Tom Brady. But once you get this third one, that cements it, that puts it in stone that you are in the top 3 bare minimum, right? That puts you there. There's no way to go down. And if you go back and look at Tom Brady, and it's going to stink, because we're going to constantly compare everything about this team to the New England Patriots. And it sucks that this Chiefs run is following one of the greatest football runs of all time, pretty much right off its heels. But that's going to be the easy comparison that everyone's going to make. New England Patriots win a decade in between number 3 and number 4. But nobody cared. It didn't matter at any point in time during those 10 years that Tom Brady wasn't the best quarterback that was still playing the game, was still playing football. Mahomes is now at that point, right? The legacy, the long-term legacy is set. You now have so much leeway that if things don't go well, if they happen to not go well, there's nothing that's going to be necessarily thrown back at this team, at him as a player that you can ever use to bring him back down. Because I think that third one really is like this big separator from a lot of other guys that have gotten into 2. And then you consider the talent that he plays with. So it's just like, it literally feels like it's not, it doesn't translate to playing with house money or anything like that, but it's like this leeway. I do think it takes a little bit of pressure off your shoulders. Now it is up to you. It is up to him, not, any of us, but it's up to Mahomes and Andy Reid to keep that motivation, to keep that ship going every single year. And from what we've seen from them, I think they will. I think they will do a very good job of keeping up the intensity, but now no matter what, there is a little bit of you can breathe, because now it's just about not, are you the greatest? Are you the greatest? Are you in that conversation? Now you are, no matter what. Now it's just how far can you push that envelope? It is almost like you're playing with just a little bit more freedom year in and year out.
Yeah, it's one of those that you look at and you scroll through some of the quarterbacks that have won 2. There's a case, for some of them to make it into the Hall of Fame, but not all of them are there. I mean, Jim Plunkett for the Raiders in the 80s won 2, and he's not in the Hall of Fame. Ben Roethlisberger, he won 2, may not make it into the Hall of Fame. We'll see. Eli Manning, we're going to have that conversation next year about Eli. He should get in, but it's going to be a lot of the off the field stuff versus, him himself. So those are the kind of guys that you look at a little bit and you say, okay, I understand the level of quarterback you can get yourself to 2. 3? Nah. If you win 3, you're in the Hall of Fame. Everybody that has won 3 or more, except for Tom Brady, who is not eligible for the Hall of Fame and of course is a first ballot Hall of Famer, is in. They are all in. Patrick Mahomes could hang it up right now with his current stats. He would be a first ballot guy 5 years from now, unequivocally. You would not argue it at all. You probably wouldn't throw him in the GOAT conversation anymore because he hung it up already, but the conversation would still occur there. So the 3 is massive. It really is. It is going to be so massive for so many different players within this organization, not just Patrick Mahomes, so many different players, because it's hard to argue a dynasty and the players that have been such a big part of it, like Chris Jones, like Travis Kelce, like those guys, you now don't have to build much of a case to get them into Canton.
You can count on one hand the quarterbacks that have won 3 or more Super Bowls. It's Joe, it's Tom, it's Bradshaw, it's Aikman. Aikman can hold this big ol' L. Oh, Cowboys owner Joshua Briscoe approves of that one. Yeah, it's insane, man. And Mahomes is doing it at a speed that no one's ever done this at. He's ahead of schedule compared to Tom. He's the best. He's the best ever. I don't care. Argue with your cat. Mahomes is a better football player than Tom Brady. I'm okay saying it. I'm not afraid to do it. I want to talk. Let's start getting into this game a little bit, and I want to talk about somebody off the top. And I'm going to completely buck the trend because I'm going to go defense here. Yeah, I know. Whatever you thought of Trent McDuffie's performance in the Super Bowl, I promise you it was better when you rewatch it. He is so good. He was so good in this game. I don't know if everybody remembers the post route to Debo on the vertical that he breaks up. He plays the football. How about that for a redemption arc for Trent McDuffie, not playing the ball in the end zone against a big physical or in the end zone against a big physical defender and going up and making an incredible play. But here's what I want to talk about. Everyone's going to talk about the blitz, right? They're going to talk about the blitz at the end of the game. He gets the pass deflection and keeps that 3rd and 4 play from converting and basically ending the Chiefs' season. Trent McDuffie makes the game playing decision or game deciding play for the Chiefs. It's just a massive, massive play. the Chiefs are getting, just worked down the field. And they run, and the Niners run on 1st and 10 in that possession. And I know everybody's going to talk about that blitz. But it's 2nd and 4, and the Niners try to run a little boot action, and George Kittle's kind of, running a little out route. And who makes the play on 2nd and 4 to stop that play from, dead in its tracks? Right at the line of scrimmage, no wiggle room, 3rd and 4 now. Who was it? Matthew?
Tell me, please. I'm waiting.
Trent McDuffie, man. Back-to-back plays to really ultimately win this team the Super Bowl. If George Kittle gets 1 yard, the play call's different.
Mm-hmm.
If George Kittle, it gets 2 yards, it's probably 4-down territory for the Niners, and the Chiefs are probably not in a great position to win that football game. Trent McDuffie, it was back-to-back plays that really won this team this game. I mean, I know there's a lot of moments, but if he doesn't make those 2 plays, this team probably doesn't win because Jake Moody's making a field goal as the clock expires. They don't get the ball back. He had to be perfect those 2 plays, and he was. On top of making a 4-point play in the end zone earlier in the game. He played out of his mind. This is the blue chip. This is one of the best cornerbacks in football. This is one of the best defensive players in football. It was a coronation for Trent McDuffie last night, too. He played an unbelievable football game. I was so happy watching it.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. And I think it all goes back to what the Chiefs' plan was. And it sounds like they came out into the game a little bit and were playing zone early in the game. And the 49ers were trying to get Deebo Samuel going because he's their guy that they use a lot against zone coverage. And Steve Spagnuolo even said, hey, we had to adjust because Brock Purdy was doing a pretty good job against us in zone. Chiefs end up in this game playing 64% man coverage throughout the game. And that puts Trent McDuffie man-to-man coverage on somebody in the slot. And guess what? He did a great job. They have Deebo Samuel in the slot. He's the guy that the 49ers are trying to get going. Yeah, Brandon Ayuk had some big catches, but they were all the same route. They weren't really trying to funnel a lot through him. They were trying to funnel their passing offense through Deebo Samuel. It wasn't Kittle. It wasn't Christian McCaffrey. It wasn't Brandon Ayuk. It was Deebo Samuel. And he and Trent McDuffie went up against each other a lot. Deebo Samuel had 6 targets with Trent McDuffie in coverage. He had 1 catch on those 6 targets. It was behind the line of scrimmage. That's the 1 catch. Now, yes, he also had a drop, but he had a catch behind the line of scrimmage was his only catch while working against Trent McDuffie. Trent had 3 pass breakups out of those 6 plays. He absolutely shut down Deebo Samuel in this game, and that does go a long way because now you have L'Jarius Sneed for the most part taking the Brandon Ayuk out of this game when you're going man coverage. Now you have Trent McDuffie taking away Deebo Samuel when you're going in man coverage, and it really showed that the 49ers didn't feel comfortable forcing the ball to anybody else consistently. Juwan Jennings made big plays. CMC made some big plays catching the ball out of the backfield. But the fact that the Chiefs had not 1, but 2 corners they could just throw out there, say, hey, we're going to play a bunch of single high. We're going to blitz a bunch and play man coverage behind it. And good luck. Trent was phenomenal. And then you get, like Kent said, you get some other big plays. Some stuff that stuck out to me, a couple outside run plays. Trent McDuffie was in the sights of Trent Williams one-on-one. Now, McDuffie didn't make any plays here. Don't get me wrong. He did not submarine anything. He didn't make the tackle, but he was in the way long enough that it forced CMC to have to declare which way around Trent Williams he was going to cut, and that allowed the help to come back. Now, one of them was a tackle right at the first down marker, but if Trent gets blown out of there, that's a 20-plus yard gain instead of a 7-yard gain that gets a first down. The other one was Justin Reid flying from deep and coming up and making the run stuff, but it was because Trent McDuffie set the edge against Trent Williams, one of the best space blockers in the entire NFL right now. So it's just he did so many little things well. Then you get into the blitz, and I guess Trent McDuffie was the single best player on the field that if Patrick Mahomes doesn't have the final 2 drives he has, he should have been the MVP of the Super Bowl because he was the best player out there.
It's funny when you're rewatching the game to see how often Trent McDuffie and L'Jarius Sneed just wholeheartedly trying to stack and succeeding. L'Jarius Sneed succeeded multiple times, stacking a first-team All-Pro left tackle in run support. Just flying up, making plays. But what a redemption arc for Trent McDuffie. He was not bad last year. Don't get me wrong. But he did not have a Super Bowl that he will remember very fondly. With that Philadelphia Eagles game, he got a little bit. He mistimed a play. He allowed several big completions. Like, it was just not his best performance. And I remember after the game sitting there and going, listen, not all hope is lost with Trent McDuffie. I feel like he's still a really good football player. He's got a potential to be a blue chip player sometime within his rookie contract. Little did we know it was going to be the very next year as a first team All-Pro, coming out and just having an incredible Super Bowl. But, fully, not that he needed to make up for it, but fully making up for anything that anybody could say about that first one. Now you get to look back at that and go, he's a rookie. He was the first Super Bowl. He's a rookie. No big deal. Did you see what he did in the second one? This is a guy that doesn't have an interception to his name in the NFL right now. And guess what? It doesn't matter. He doesn't need it. He is just that good of a football player to make first team All-Pro, to be the best player on a defense that was incredible and had lots of great performances. He was outstanding yesterday.
Oh, and I have the perfect quote. This is from MVS on Twitter, literally just now. It was in response to how good Trent McDuffie was in the playoffs. He said, people don't truly understand how good this kid is. So quiet and humble. Don't say shit, but we'll have you strapped in like a roller coaster.
Oh, I love that.
That's all MVS. And it's so true, because he's not L'Jarius Sneed. L'Jarius Sneed talks a lot of trash on the football field, and it's awesome. I love that. I want my corners to do that. Don't get me wrong. Trent McDuffie's not into that. Yeah, he makes a big play. There's a little flexing. There's a little bit of you know what just happened, but he is not the loudest of cornerbacks out there for a guy that makes a lot of feisty plays, a guy that makes a lot of physical plays for being a smaller guy. And he doesn't talk a ton of trash out on the football field, but the play does. And he was absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, I think this is a great place to start, Kent.
I think this is a great place to take a break. We'll be back right after this.
We appreciate you supporting KC Sports Network by listening to our podcast. You have helped us become the highest ranked Chiefs podcast network in 2022 and 2023. And don't forget about our daily Substack newsletter, the best written analysis you can find on the Chiefs straight to your inbox every day. kcsn.substack.com.
Appreciate everybody that is hanging out with us tonight on a live edition of the KC Laboratory, celebrating yet another Super Bowl. Just kind of reminiscing, and we've had time to process. It's always so tricky to do. I love how much experience we have with post Super Bowl victory shows. Last night's show is kind of hard to do because you don't have anything processed at all. You don't have anything really just fleshed out in your mind. You're going from just being full-fledged fan and hanging out with people and all that stuff, and then just jumping into doing this. It's always just my brain was just going a million miles an hour, but everything kind of slows down, settles down a little bit. It's kind of just fun to kind of get back to it a little bit. I talked about Trent McDuffie. Is there anybody that you really want to profile, or anything specifically that you really feel like profiling Matthew in this? I don't know. I give you a chance to kind of get something out.
Yeah, there's a lot. I'm gonna jump to the offense. I got a couple defensive guys, but I'm gonna jump to the offense. I'm actually gonna go with Rashee Rice, but not, I think, for a reason a lot of people are gonna expect. Here's a guy who won the Chiefs in the first half. Andy Reid said if the 49ers in overtime scored a touchdown and the Chiefs scored a touchdown, they were gonna go for two. They weren't gonna play the sudden death game. I really think the 2-point conversion play, if it wasn't corn dog, it was going to be something with Rashee Rice aligned in the backfield in that split back look where they ran the ball twice in the first half. Because there's no other reason I think that shows up in this game in the first half with Rashee Rice, unless there was a play off of it. So I wouldn't say that first. But then next, you're going down. They're down 3. They get down into the red zone. Creed Humphrey, slides the ball across the ground. It cost Mahomes a chance to see Rashee Rice open for a touchdown that would have won them the game. It would have been a walk-off touchdown to Rashee Rice. It would have been phenomenal. And it was a perfect play call. You have Kelsey work from condensed away. Rice comes in right behind it to the void when all the attention's going to Kelce, specifically Fred Warner's no longer in the middle of the field. Exactly what you want, because that man's a freak of nature.
Playing man coverage on Kelce lined up as a Y-ISO.
Rashee Rice is scoring a touchdown there. The ball skips across. Rashee Rice is pissed. I don't know exactly what he said, but he was pissed because Mahomes, when they got to the sideline, Mahomes chased him down, veins popping, yelling at him, cussing him out, telling him, "You're wrong, kid. This is what happened. The ball rolled to me. I had to go." And Rashee Rice quickly said, "Nope, I get that. I didn't know that. My fault. Let's go then." But he was upset. He was pissed. Here is a rookie wide receiver on a team whose wide receivers have been just thrown under the bus by everybody in the world besides Mahomes all year long. Under the bus. And here's a rookie that has the stones in the biggest moment of all time to question the best player on the planet, and not in a negative way, not in a way that hurts the team, not in a way that causes anything poor to happen. What does Mahomes do when they get the ball next? They come out and they get Rashee Rice a couple touches.
Twice.
Twice. One of them on a big cover zero play where he's working. It was like big
36.
It didn't cause any issues. But the fact that Rashee Rice in this stage in his career felt comfortable enough voicing his frustration to the best player on the planet in the Super Bowl of a now tie game going to overtime, that just, to me, that says there's a little something special in that locker room. There's something special that Mahomes has, like, as a leader, as a person that people believe in. Because could you imagine a rookie wide receiver ever going off on Tom Brady like that? And if that man would have seen the light of day, he would not have made it till Monday morning. And that's nothing bad about him. So I wanted to say, I like that. I like that whole concept of Rashee Rice comfortable enough to voice it. Mahomes saying, "Hey, it wasn't my fault, dude. The snap sucked. Get over it." And Rashee Rice getting over it.
Peyton Manning would have gotten a shovel, dug a hole at midfield, and buried a rookie wide receiver for trying that.
Craig, that's why Peyton Manning only has 2 rings.
Yeah, I know. And why Patrick Mahomes has already passed him in playoff wins.
3. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But, no, it was kind of special to sit there and see all that happening. I really liked Mahomes semi-joking after the game, basically saying, it's like, well, he lives down there in Texas real close to me, so he's going to be seeing a lot of me whether he likes it or not this offseason. Like, that's good. And then talked about how we want to build on this. We want to help him reach his potential. Yep. We want to help him get there. And you saw that throughout the year. We even remarked whatever game that was. Hell, this season's been long. It was middle of the year where Rice made a big play. You know, it went in the middle of a lot of drops, in the middle of a lot of bad wide receiver play. He made a big play. I believe it was either a touchdown or just a really long, explosive play. And the first 2 people to run up and congratulate him and stand there and talk to him about it for a long time were Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, because they see something special in the kid. They really do. They see him as this guy that can be even more than we've already seen from a player. And to hear that sort of thing happening, to see that sort of thing happening, and then to see the growth and the trust level that Patrick has in him already, it's good. I don't know that he's ever going to be a true wide receiver 1. Like, if we're going to be talking about him in the realm of, oh, wow, you know, he had a 1,400-yard season and he's just this really stellar guy, you know, a guy that we can count on for everything and all of that. But he is going to be such an important piece of this offense going forward, period. Like, he just is. And he's always going to be around, and him building that chemistry with Patrick is already so amazing. I know how much he wanted that touchdown, how much he wanted that score, because he was open. I get it. And that frustration bubbles up in that moment when you're settling for 3. I mean, we witnessed Travis Kelce being pissed off that he wasn't on the field during the Isaiah Pacheco fumble. It's a similar sort of deal. They want to win so much. They want the ball. They want to be able to be key cogs in a championship team. And that's not a bad thing whatsoever. So the fact that you're seeing that already, that's fun.
He was ready for the moment. He was ready for the touchdown, and then he didn't let anything get in the way of him making big plays in the most important drive of the game. he was massive. And it's 3rd and 6. They're throwing him the ball. 0 pressure, 3rd and 6, throwing him an underneath route, and he's going and finishing the play. Like, just unbelievable. By the way, I need to redo the math, but I think he was playing like a 1,300-yard receiver, a little bit under 1,300 yards during the first 3 playoff games, by the way.
That was great.
You want to talk about maybe not being a wide receiver 1? I don't know about that, because statistically, we'll find, like it's like, I mean, he played at an exceptional non-rookie level. Like, we probably aren't talking enough about that, how well he played during these playoffs. Obviously, he had a couple rough moments. He had a fumble in the Super Bowl that didn't cost the team, thank God. But he made some big plays in overtime, and like, he's obviously a huge factor in why this team, did what they did. So, yeah, it's been fun watching his developmental arc, watching him play, just get better. Especially, I mean, we don't need to get any negatives in here, but like, just the fact that he was everything this team drastically needed him to be it's so cool. It's so cool to see. Craig, who do you want to give some flowers to? Because like me and Maddie have already kind of highlighted somebody, but you tell me.
I mean, there's so many. There are so many people. I'm going to go with Mike Pennell.
Yes.
I know we talked a little bit about him in the postgame, but Mike Pennell was a monster, like an absolute monster. And it was between him and Leo Chenal, who was also an absolute monster. But Pennell's story, he's a free agent. He's just sitting around. He's not doing anything. He gets a call in October from the Chiefs. Hey, we need another nose tackle on this team. And at the time, if you'll recall, we kind of made fun of the fact that the Chiefs drafted a nose tackle that never made it off of he made it off the practice squad for week 1. That's right. Drafted a nose tackle, traded a pick for another nose tackle, and then here they are signing yet another nose tackle to the active roster. He might have been the best defensive lineman in this game. Like, in what he specifically did. Chris Jones was better, don't get me wrong. But in what he did and what he was asked to do, he was so dominant on a snap-by-snap basis. Trent Williams had to deal with all these feisty little DBs coming up and hitting him and, having to deal with all of that. I'm sure it felt like, a gorilla swatting away some flies or something like that. But then there was another one that came into the jungle there, and holy cow, Mike Pennell dominated him on multiple run snaps. Multiple. This man's trying to down block him, and Mike Pennell is holding him off with one arm, controlling the line of scrimmage, and then shedding him, just throwing him to the ground and making a tackle. Multiple times he did that. He was a force in the middle of the defense that we have not seen all year long at all. Derek Nottie had some good moments this season, but that was the single best performance by a nose tackle all season long, and it happened in the biggest game when they needed somebody to come in and stop the run. Mike Pennell was a monster.
When there's 2 people I want to talk about for different reasons, but they both tie back to Mike Pennell. So you talked about Mike Pennell kind of just doing, like, for what he was asked to do, just doing it near perfect, right? And just being exceptional and playing. 100% agree. I think that's the parallel to Leo Chenal. Leo Chenal, like, was awesome in the same regard from the linebacker position. What he was asked to do, how disruptive he was, how physical he was with the 49ers, that density and power and physicality, the violence and physicality he talked about on draft weekend, at FanFest or whatever. Like, that was him. And then forcing a fumble and making a play on the football. Tons of credit to him. So, like, the parallel for me on them is, Mike Pennell and Leo Chenal, very defined roles, but what they did in their defined roles, I thought they were awesome. But you talk about, there's another parallel I want to talk about too, is Mike Pennell's 32 years old. He's kind of been a journeyman to this point. He's not played, like you said, he was a street free agent. What comes in and winds up being a key player in the Super Bowl. And like, it's not just like, oh, good job. He was making plays. He was blowing things up in the middle of the defense. Like, just unbelievable. But I don't know if Mike Pennell's going to have very many opportunities to do that again. Maybe he comes back to the Chiefs on in a rotational role. I don't know. He's 32 years old. He's on the wrong side of 30. And so he played like a guy that doesn't have many options and many chances left to achieve greatness and to be on a Super Bowl team. He might have had a career game at 32 years old, and hopefully he gets more opportunities if he wants to continue. But that gives me an opportunity to talk about somebody else who, I don't know if we brought him up on the post-game show last night, that maybe doesn't have very many opportunities left, but wanted to go out there and give everything they had to the point where they came back from their core muscle surgery as quickly as they possibly could to be a part of this game. That's Jerick McKinnon. He had a very small role, but he played great, played well, made a couple big catches. Well, one big catch in the check down, but like one big catch to extend in the second half. But it's not about like the performance for me. It's just the fact that he was out there performing. I don't think Jerick McKinnon, I don't know how much Jerick McKinnon has left in the tank. That man has been through so many injuries, and it's not because he doesn't want to. It's just his body might keep him from playing anymore. But I was so happy to watch him go out there and make an impact in this football game. I have so much love, admiration, appreciation, and respect for Jerick McKinnon, and the fact that we got to see one more Jerick McKinnon game, and it was the Super Bowl, and it meant something to him. And it meant something to him for what appeared to be a lot of reasons, both the Niners and like, hey, look, he's a running back on the wrong side of 30. There's no way to sugarcoat it. Just ton of credit, respect to him. I was just so glad to see him get another ring because I think he's been such a vital role player for this offense the last few years. And I'm just glad he got some flowers and got to play on that field one more time.
I mean, going back to Mike Pennell, he led the team in run stops. He played the second most snaps on the defensive line behind only Chris Jones.
Wow.
And like, yeah, don't want to go too much farther down like nose tackle, technical terms here, but the Chiefs' run defense got real good when Mike Pennell was out there because he's a guy that is big and strong. And like, yeah, you can have all the advantageous angles you want. When Mike Pennell can just knows he's getting single blocked because Steve Spagnuolo is loading the box, giving you these hard surfaces, they can't combo him anymore. My man just got a wide stance, shoved his arm into the down block or the guy trying to reach him and said, nah, you shall not pass. And it was over and it was done. And like, that's a credit to Spags because it allowed Mike Pennell to be literally in one-on-ones versus a, relatively weaker interior offensive line to what the 49ers are supposed to have, but it allowed other guys to play free. So I thought he was great. Leo Chenal was obviously great. Everyone's seen the clips now of him taking on George Kittle, of him, taking on multiple players, Juszczyk, Kittle in the same play, making the plays. He was great. I thought, so many guys were good. I like the Jerick McKinnon shout out because he clearly isn't the same athlete he once was. And he clearly isn't the same kind of weapon that he once was. But man, they trust him so much in pass protection to throw him out there and get everything right. So like, yeah, I'm glad he got to come back for this game. I thought it was kind of interesting that they really wanted him back for this game against a 49ers team that doesn't really blitz a ton, and like why I don't want to say rushed it, but we're like, yeah, that's okay. We'll let you go back out there this quickly. But I mean, it mattered. It ended up mattering because the 49ers did blitz. He did his normal Jerick McKinnon thing. He made a couple plays. So like, I'm glad he got to get back out there. He wanted to be in meant a lot for all of them. So like, is there anybody else we've missed out, or can we wrap everybody up with some slaps, stickers, and oh, go ahead.
I got one more. Harrison Butker low-key might make himself a Hall of Fame here. It is really, really, really difficult to get in as a kicker. Like, it takes something super
not going to pretend to know the rules.
Special. Like, it really does. It's one of those, like, when you look over, like, the kicker list and the all-timers and everything like that, you're like, okay, so why did that one get in? That one didn't. And it's usually because big moments. They did it in big moments. Longevity doesn't matter as a kicker. Like, you rack up stats for a long time. You can play well into your 40s. Like, it's one of those that the counting stats aren't the same. So it's about what you do in big moments. And yes, having the Super Bowl record for a field goal is awesome, but having the most field goals ever in the Super Bowl is awesome. Like, we are now to the point where he is 7 years into his career here. And I believe right now, I think he's number 7 or 4th all time. 4th all time in postseason kicks. He's going to catch the guys in front of him because he's maybe 20 behind Adam Vinatieri, who played for double the amount of time that he has. Harrison Butker is going to catch every single relevant kicker on every single postseason list. And so when you look at this, what's that?
Well, it's just because Justin Tucker's not playing very many playoff games right now.
That's fun. Maybe he should try being better. No, it's try not to piss off Patrick Mahomes so that you go home early. Harrison Butker is just nails right now, and I'm writing this series that I get to finish yet another chapter of it for the KCSN Substack about the history of the Chiefs in the playoffs. It is so tragic, the kicker success that they've had. Like, we fondly remember players that were just garbage in the postseason as kickers, like absolute trash in the postseason. Really good regular season kickers get to the postseason and nope, just it's not there. Harrison Butker is different. Harrison Butker is nails. He's got ice in his veins. He's like all of those, cliches. He's all of that. And he's going to catch every single one of these. He's going to have more rings as a Kansas City Chief. This is not the last one that he's going to get. I think, we talk about all these future Hall of Famers and these guys that have an argument and have a case. Harrison Butker last night made his case, and I think he's got more to build off.
Justin Tucker's made 90.2% of his field goals, and Harrison Butker's made 89.1%. Like, he's not far removed from Tucker. Adam Vinatieri made less than 84% of his field goals.
Now do playoffs.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Lamar can't win in the playoffs, so Justin Tucker can't play enough in them. That's a good point. But yeah, no, a huge credit to Harrison Butker. If you want to get a game ball in, this is your opportunity. If you're if you're on the chat, so leave some ideas out for us. Some ideas for your game ball. But it is time for stickers, slaps, and spirits. Let me think here. I don't know who I really want to go with. There's a fun stat I saw that someone I want to give I wish I could give them the credit. But it's a fun little stat. The last 4 touchdowns in the Super Bowl for the Kansas City Chiefs have been Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and McCole Hardman. It is like the 4 just like most maligned receivers in this year, and it's like, it's just crazy to think about and just like look at that. So McCole, I want to give McCole credit for how well he played. I want to give Marquez Valdes-Scantling credit for coming in with that big catch, and having that big touchdown catch. So I'm gonna go with a helmet sticker both to Marquez and McCole Hardman. Just like a perfect story ending here. Both of those guys getting a field or getting a touchdown and getting the only 2 touchdowns in this game. So let's go with those 2. Maddie.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were setting up Craig. I gave
you know what? This bit unfortunately has to die for another 6 months, and Kid's gonna forget about it again, and we're gonna get like 5 weeks into the season again, and he's gonna be like, "Oh, that's right, Maddie does this every time." Like, it's gonna be great.
It's like week 1 every year when he makes Travis Kelce his player to watch. I'm like, oh yeah,
never happened. So I did Juwan Taylor for the Toast game on the post game show. I very strongly believe that one, given a quick little rewatch to the game, but I'm going to go on the other side of the ball. I'm going to go Justin Reid on the defensive side of the ball. I think kind of like Juwan Taylor, guy got a little maligned throughout the year by various people, and I just don't think it's warranted at all. And then I thought he played some of his best football here down the stretch in the playoffs, and people are going to go dig through the stats and be like, oh, he was targeted 4 times and gave up 4 catches, and that's true. Look at where those catches came, though. They had him ISO'd one-on-one with the wide receiver one, with George Kittle, with CMC out of the backfield. They only gave up 2 first downs. Like, he is the Chiefs' chess piece on the back end. He is the guy that moves around to all these different spots. Man coverage, deep half, robber, blitzer. He's the force player on run plays. He's the alley runner. Like, he does a little bit of everything for this team, and that is part of what like makes Steve Spagnuolo's defense function, is having a guy that can do that. It was Tyrann Mathieu for years. That's what this Chiefs defense did. He was the most pivotal part of the Chiefs defense for that first run, was Tyrann Mathieu and his versatility. I'm not saying Justin Reid is the same type of player as Tyrann Mathieu, but he comes with the same type of versatility in the way they are using him. They were playing with 2 down linemen and using him as their Mike linebacker on some third down plays. They were moving him all over the field. And yeah, that's going to make some of his stats against maybe not always look the best, because he's getting some of the hardest matchups rep after rep, but he's not getting beaten like a drum. He's not getting given up huge plays left and right. He's making his impact felt early in games with his pressure, with how hard he hits. He single-handedly shut down the Ravens run game. He came back in this game. There was a toss play. The first one the Chiefs stopped was Justin Reid flying in like a missile and making a tackle on Christian McCaffrey for a relatively short gain. So Justin Reid, a big old butt slap on the way out the door, because I think a lot of people, not out the door of the team, just for the season. Let me be very clear.
Breaking
He's coming
news.
back next year. I certainly hope. I certainly hope for the season going out. But yeah, I thought Justin Reid was great in this game, and he has been all playoffs.
All right. Whole ass bottle of bourbon. I kind of want to give it to Steve Spagnuolo's wife, coming in clutch with those meatballs.
Chris didn't eat them.
He didn't eat them on game day. I'm certain he ate them during the week. I want to give a whole ass bottle of water to Joe Cullen, signing an extension. Kansas City Chiefs. He's going to stick with him for a little while there. So that's awesome. I know we were all a little bit worried about what was going to happen with Joe Cullen after this season. So many different people really, really, really wanted him to come be their defensive coordinator. And yeah, no, that's awesome. The Chiefs get to keep him. But my whole last bottle of bourbon's going to Chris Jones. Chris Jones has been on a roller coaster this season. I mean,
you think
this has been.
He Sirianni'd every national anthem in the playoffs.
It was. You could just tell
that one, Kent. Oh, he's allowed to do it.
He's okay to do it because he plays for the Chiefs. That's
and he doesn't stare at the camera and act like a petulant child leading in a football program and have no rings. Anyways,
can we Tucker? Can you pull the clips of Kent talking about Chris Jones from the offseason and just overlay here?
That would be pretty spectacular. No, he had a hell of an offseason. He
was great.
Didn't come to camp. Didn't show up. Didn't show up week 1. Sat in the stands week 1. How bizarre was that? Shows up week 2, little bit out of shape, doesn't look the same, has a down period in the middle of it. Our buddy Nate Tice talked about how, doesn't really try on rundowns on quarters 1 through 3 throughout the regular season. They needed him to be big in this game because they were going to get him one-on-one looks. They needed him to play a massive role, and he did. He really did. All game long, from the first whistle, he was terrific. Played the run really, really well. He got just ample pressure on Brock Purdy. Couple of throws. I think everybody remembers the one that I believe maybe it was L'Jarius Sneed that was down the sideline that Purdy overthrew in the end zone. His receiver had a step on him. Chris Jones is in the face of Purdy, doesn't allow him to step into that throw. He sails it. Jones was just everywhere. And, this defense is not just led by one individual player. There are so many pieces that matter so much to it. Chris Jones just stands out time and time again. He has shaken this whole, hey, maybe he doesn't show up for the playoffs things the past 2 years, because he's been a monster the past 2 years and a key cog and a key reason why they are back-to-back champs. Chris was awesome. I don't know what this future holds for him in Kansas City. I don't know what his representation is going to do. I just don't know what it's going to look like. But, man, I really fucking loved having Chris Jones on this team this year and the way that he showed up. So, whole ass bottle of bourbon for Chris Jones.
We've got Gabe Alejos saying Justin Watson. Matt Kettner says good health. Brett Shepard, McDuffie, Kathy Walsh, FAU, Kyle Cook, McDuffie. We're getting some Karloftis love here. Drew Tranquil. A lot of McDuffie. So we're going to go with the game ball to McDuffie. We like that. One other quick question before we get out of here. You said they went 4 safeties on 3rd and 4 to basically decide the game, right?
Yeah, that was the 2 down linemen, 2 linemen. Yeah.
That was Deion Bush's only defensive snap of the game.
Big one.
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
That's just slapped him out there. Said we got this.
Hey, season's on the line.
Wear that damn ring proud, Deion.
It's just crazy. Well, he had a big interception early in the postseason too. It's just wild that was his only defensive snap of the game. Just happened to be the most crucial down of the game. It's just, I love the sport. I love this team. We love all of you. Thank you all so much for listening. We appreciate you. That's going to do it for this episode of the KC Laboratory. We'll catch you later.
Sad ass 31 teams right now.